r/askreddit. Redditors who have tried to hide on your cruise when it ended so that you could stay on the ship for the next round. How did that go? Very specific target audience. Everyone should upvote this to get this question answered. I feel like OP is going on a cruise soon and has no plans for the weeks afterwards. Next question. Redditors who stood 2 centimeters next to the lamppost in their nearest bus stop. How did you feel about the small abdominal pain in the lower part of your belly button while a cat with black, orange and white fur coat walked in front of you? Redditors wearing pink socks and currently swimming in the Bermuda. How's it going? I don't know if this counts, but my dad got locked in a toilet cubicle on a ferry to France and it took several people to find him. The toilet was right out of the way and you couldn't hear him yelling even right outside in the corridor because the doors were so massive. I guess he could have gone immediately back to England. Could have become a ship toilet hermit. This happened to me on a boat in Malta. I went to pee on the only toilet on board in the basement of the boat as the boat docked for a 4-hour stop. I legitimately thought I might die. It was so hot I thought I might suffocate. Finally some guy found me 15 minutes after I was screaming and pounding on the door. He let me out and then laughed about it to his friends. I want to form a band just so I can call it Ship Toilet Hermits. I'm sure something similar has happened many times on the ferry between Helsinki and Tallinn. The ferry company even offers a 6-hour mini cruise where you board the ship in Helsinki, travel to Tallinn, and then stay on board for the return journey to Helsinki. We went on one of those 4-hour company Christmas party a couple of years ago. When the ship arrived in Tallinn, the personnel on the ship didn't check in any way to make sure that people who stayed on the ship were supposed to be there. A drunk passenger could very easily forget to get off the ship and end up going along for the ride back to Helsinki. Used to be in the USCG. We had this happen a few times in Miami. They were all escorted off the ship. Typically the police handle the situation, but if a stowaway was discovered while still in the 3-12 mile range, we would render assistance once they were apprehended by the on-board law enforcement. The problem here is that you only know about the unsuccessful stowaways, not the ones that managed to pull it off. Also, is keel hauling still an acceptable punishment for stowing away? There's on-board law enforcement. Boarded for a trip from Southampton to Queenstown. Stayed on to get to New York. All was good until we hit a damn iceberg. Been 107 years and still haven't docked. Fucking sucks, man. At least the water is heating up finally though. Swimming pools are full of salt water though. Better call the maintenance guys. Are you that bitch that left my son to die in the water so you could stay afloat on a door? Bitch. Been doing this for a couple of years now. They slapped a name tag on me and now I work here. Hope they also took your bank account and post a monthly salary in there. Cool story, but could you get me some more ice? I worked for Carnival. We will find you. We know you're in the ship. And we all want you to get off so I can't take a short nap before I have to do it all over again in a few hours. What you must know is that I have a particular set of skills. Amen to this. I worked for a small cruise ship company, less than 100 packs, and I would die a little inside every time people weren't packed the morning of departure and would slow everything down. Did they somehow forget that they needed to get off the boat that morning? Do those big ships do same day turns, i.e. debarkation and embarkation the same day? My company did that and apparently it's not the norm, at least in small cruise ships. Most of the other companies seem to have at least 24 hours between trips. Not me, but a couple decided to hide to try get another week out of their holiday. This was while we were halfway through our holiday, so we heard it all. Dozens of announcements calling for them or anyone who's seen them were made throughout the day. Their rooms were searched and everything they owned in that room was seized, apparently. The ship left port late by about 90 minutes, but they were eventually found and escorted off the ship when the crew decided to check the identity of every passenger on board. All of their stuff was left in their room? How did they think they would get away with it? I know you're planning something up. I can neither confirm nor deny these allegations. Late to the party, but I can chime in and further add proof if needed. I worked for Carnival for 5 years, specifically in debarkation. Additionally, I worked for Disney Cruise Line and Princess Cruise Line. Here's what happens. We give you a card upon check-in and that card is scanned the minute you step on board. Additionally, it is scanned when you leave the ship for either complete debarkation or excursions. At the end of your cruise, debarkation starts around 7 AM. Come 10 AM we receive a list of people who have not yet had their card scanned. It's impossible to get off the boat without getting your card scanned, unless you jump into the water, haha. Then a manhunt begins to get you guys off the ship so we can put a new 2200, 2600 people on it. We do not start boarding new passengers until every card from the previous voyage has been scanned. In my experience, nobody ever waits and tries to hide. If you do take a cruise, book a flight that's a little bit later in the morning and go with the latest checkout time you can. So many people aim for debarking around 7 o'clock to 9 AM. Literally over 1,700 people will be waiting in lines that'll take well over an hour to get out of. Instead of waiting in line for the hour, stay on board and eat some breakfast, take some last minute photos, and then when your time comes just leave, go through customs, and be on your merry way. I'm the one-stop Redditor for all cruising tips, haha. Edit. I'm starting my commute to work but I'll be sure to answer all questions when I get there. Edit 2. Alright, I'm back. Time to answer these questions. Either walking off first with your luggage or being one of the last is best. Both has worked well for us in the past as well. This sounds US specific though. Here in Sweden there are some really low class party cruises on the Baltic Sea, called the fugboats, where they don't scan anyone. And I guess there are all different levels in the world in between up to the luxury stuff. So not all cruises scan people. I would have loved the later debarkation slot, but we were told we had to be out at 7:30 AM or something horrific. Oh god, I was still so drunk from watching NOFX play on the deck the night before, that I had to be literally wheeled to the debarkation gate. Fighting back the spew the whole way. And then spent a whole day dying in the Miami sun, waiting for our Airbnb to become available. How do you go about getting these mythical later debarkation slots? I worked for DCL for about a year. How was your experience working for them compared to working for other cruise lines? I have a good history working for other parts of the Disney company, but I honestly hated working for DCL. I hated being treated like a second-class citizen 24/7 for my entire contract, lack of proper medical care, lack of good nutritional food. I saw much worse with HR incidents too but don't wanna say on here. A little different, I was going through a really hard bout with depression in 2012 and really had nothing going on in life besides an overnight job at a gym. My parents decided to do a family cruise in March as our Christmas present. I was actually planning on saying goodbye to my family at the end of the trip and just getting off at the last island and not getting back on. Then I found out the cruise company would alert local authorities that I didn't get back on. I wanted to just island skip for a while instead of backpacking through Europe to do some thinking and adventuring. I didn't want to end up in some shitty Caribbean jail. It is right they don't just leave without passengers as they could be lost and stuck. What happens if they find you and you don't want to get back on board? I have no idea, but can't think what you would go to jail for. You'd be all on your own though if you couldn't get home. As someone about to embark on a cruise, this thread could hold vital information. Have fun on your cruise. I met my wife on one 7 years ago. And are you a penguin? I don't know if this counts but on the last night of a cruise my friends and I got really drunk. Well, I don't know how the hell but I ended up somewhere passengers shouldn't be in a goddamn supply closet I believe. The ship had docked and there was a 2-hour search for me. Still drunk I couldn't find a way to get out of the room where the supply closet was but the door was locked. The crew thought I was trying to sneak another ride but after reviewing the cameras they clearly could tell I was nowhere near sober. So they let me go on my way with a good laugh. To this day I still don't remember making my way down there. That's kind of adorable somehow. I can imagine them all bring up the security footage like what a jerk, we'll see how sneakily he planned this. Oh, well. Oh wow, he's very drunk and very confused isn't he? Edit, autocorrect. Day 247, they still don't realize. I have been living off of seawater and Ritz crackers for the past month. I can't let them see me in the cafeteria. People tell me all the time, dude, just leave the boat, but none of them understand. Using the quarters I find on the ground, I was finally able to pay my cell phone bill again today. I got a text from some guy named Boss, dumb name, telling me that he's gonna put me in a thing of fire. Whatever, probably insane. I got a scam text from some guy named Gene calling me husband, and from police. Regardless, I'm probably gonna fry up the phone battery for more fire today. I sometimes wonder what life is like outside of the ship, but quickly dismiss those thoughts after I realize that there is no such thing as living outside of the ship. Around day 50 or 60, people in blue coats began to harass me, saying that I must go or they're gonna find me or something. They're probably just heroin addicts, though they scared me enough to go incognito until they're gone. Our writing prompts. With a combo like seawater and Ritz crackers, you'd be dead within a day, lol. I think they might catch you when they do the lifeboat drill at the beginning. Then why go to the lifeboat drill? I found some crew clothing in the laundry and put it on. The crew was changing out at the last stop so nobody would recognize my new face. In the 2 days between the ending of one round and the start of the next leg, I found myself enjoying the nods from other crew members and a level of respect I wasn't used to, having dressed as a normal passenger. I decided that I would chat up some of the bar staff and see if I'd have any luck getting free drinks. After a few beers, this new bartender came on. An old British guy. Looked like he'd seen some stuff. He had a nickname for everyone. Governor, amigo, pal, comrade. I guess he'd really traveled a lot. He kept serving me drinks with a sly wink, like from one old sea dog to another. It came time to settle my bill, as the ship was prepping for departure, and when I went to give him money, sure enough, he told me I didn't have to pay. No sir, he said, this one's on me. See up and no trouble at all. Good luck getting us out of dock, and he pointed over my shoulder with his chin. I turned around and the rest of the bridge crew was there with the security detail. And then? It is all electronic card swipe now, everyone monitored all the time. All of the japes and scrapes of being a stowaway, one step ahead of the steward, is in the past now. Sounds like it would be easier to just get a job there. I am a stand-up comic who works on cruise ships 3-4 months out of the year. Guests who take forever to leave suck. Employees of the ship can't leave until every last guest has exited the vessel. So if a guest is taking their time to leave or hiding, they are potentially keeping over 100 employees from going home. And many of the employees are on the ship for like 8 months, so every second counts when they just want to get off and start heading home. Get the fuck off the boat. I think a lot of you guys are underestimating how easy this would actually be. They count people. There are 2,000 passengers on a decent sized cruise ship, and at no point was everyone funneled through any sort of checkpoint except when getting on and off the ship. You have to swipe a card, yeah, to buy something or get into a room. You don't have to swipe it to go to the buffet or get into the theater. A cruise ship is the size of multiple city blocks when you add up all the deck space. And there are 2,000 people walking around with no ID on them. If you wanted to stay on the ship, you could 100% do it without all that much difficulty. Your only real challenge would be finding somewhere to sleep that didn't get you harassed. Except you swipe your card at disembarkation. The database would show you're still on board. Considering the number of people who die on cruises, it's quite likely they have a process to go find old Martha who sat down on the loo and will never stand up again. Ships tend to have really good tracking of their packs. There's security cameras everywhere, and when you disembark they give the ship a really good walkthrough. All the passenger areas are easy to see through and have no hiding places, and if a packs were to be in a crew area, it happened every now and then, we would notice immediately. I've never had passengers try to stow away, but I've definitely seen crew run away from the ship. Mostly happens in American ports. Personally, when I was working on ships I couldn't wait to get the fuck off them every time I saw land. Why people cruise to begin with is beyond my comprehension. It's a change of pace vacation. Typically cruises are very low stress. Just fly, drive to the port, embark, and everything else is taken care for you. Unlimited food, access to resort level amenities, a preset itinerary, and life at sea, which is totally refreshing for us land dwellers. I was on a ship traveling from Portugal to China. We took a wrong turn somewhere, landed on a remote island, and now the captain's enslaving all the locals. Serious stag, serious stag, serious stag, serious stag. While I won't rule it out as an impossibility nowadays, it would be extremely difficult. First, you're scanned on and off the ship, so they'd know you never got off. So now you're hiding on the ship. WTF are you going to do? You won't be able to get into or back into your room. You won't be able to eat or drink on some of the cruises since you'll need a valid keycard or wristband. You'll be carrying all your stuff around, since you'll have nowhere to store it. You might make it to the first port without being caught, but then you'd probably want off, and when you get scanned off you're busted. I'd say it's 99.9% likely you spend your stowaway cruise in the ship's jail cell until you get back to home port. My friend did this. He can't handle his drink and we were on a mini cruises from Newcastle to Amsterdam. After a good few drinks he loses it. Whips a table from the wall and throws it away. Took his top off as well as another friend's top and threw them overboard shouting wee I. He was quickly sent to the brig and had his passport confiscated, meaning he couldn't get back on the boat after our day in Amsterdam. So he tried to hide under the bed. According to his story he couldn't fit so his feet were sticking out a bit and said he got caught straight away. They threw him off and we never seen him that day. Imaginably when we got back on the boat to no friend under the bed, we were concerned. We chose his closest friend to call his dad to say we have lost your son Romeo, and his answer was oh I know, we booked him a flight. Turns out he ventured off the boat in a panic, somehow managed to find a British embassy and explained his situation. Not sure how but they organized him to fly home without a passport. Every time I see him I ask him to tell me the story again for a laugh. Not exactly, but I feel like there are very few people who could answer this. I was on a 3-week cruise through the Bahamas. Hated life, my now ex-wife, my job. We stopped at the island of Nassau, where we could get out and tour for the day. My wife stayed back on the ship, as we had gotten into an argument and wanted nothing to do with each other. We were instructed to be on that boat by the end of the day, so after a couple of hours at a tiki bar, I headed back. I didn't want to go back, it was paradise. When I got on the ship, they checked me in, because when I exited the boat, they checked me out. I then headed to the stern, half drunk, and jumped off of the boat as soon as we left the wharf. See, there aren't beaches next to the wharf, it's a residential area. The houses are right on the water. There is, however, a small landmass in front of the wharf. I realized that I probably won't be able to go up onto the main island, so I headed for the landmass. I got up onto the beach of the landmass, exhausted, but happy, nonetheless. I guess my wife told the staff, which told the higher ups on the ship, who contacted the Nassau authorities. I obviously didn't know this at the time, so I was just relaxing on the beach, wondering if there would be a ferry coming by or something so tourists could visit the little island, so I could GRT on it like a tourist and go back to the main island. Well, I did get my ferry to the island, but in the form of a Nassau Police Department boat. Spent a couple of days in a Nassau jail. Cousin ended up flying out to bail me out. Thanks, Jerry. Paid a fine, got a divorce, moved to the countryside, and the rest is history. Wow, I can actually kind of answer that. Okay, so it was not a cruise but a ferry. Also we didn't hide on purpose. It was the ferry from Souris, Prince Edouard Island to the Isles de la Madeleine, Quebec, Canada. A 12 hours ride. We embarked at 2 AM and found a very quiet spot to sleep. We slept through the landing and no one woke us up because no one actually saw us. When we woke up we saw the islands going away from us. Result, we spent 36 hours on that boat. Sorry for my bad English. Plot twist, OP works as security consultant for cruise ships and is looking for a quick and free update on the latest techniques used by smartasses.